One day, I go into the gym and do my normal workout routine. I usually end off my workout with a few calf raises because it's so small that even chickens would call it a chicken leg. That's when you know it's bad. Anyways, while I was doing my calf raises as usual, I felt a sharp pain on my ankle which forces me to stop doing the exercise. I have no clue what happened. I was afraid that I might have torn something inside due to overworking it, or maybe it's just not healed yet from previous session. I tried resting, massaging it, hot water, cold water, and it would feel better, but it's only temporary and the pain always comes back. I kept testing out different methods to get it healed, but I could not figure it out even after 2 months. Then while I was on my computer with the air conditioner turned on, being the privileged kid that I am, I randomly felt the same pain on my ankle, but this time I wasn't even working out. That scared me a little because does that mean that it's getting a lot more worse than I expected? But at the same time, it also gave me a clue on what is the root cause of this pain that I felt for months. Based on science, we know that things expand when they are hot and contracts when they are cool. And your muscle is no exception to this. It also applies to it as well. So what was happening is that my legs, specifically my calves and ankles, it's so inflexible that when it got cold, the muscle got tighter and it got so tight that it started to hurt. It just didn't occur to me that muscle tightness was a possibility on why my ankles was hurting, because I used to be extremely flexible. I was even once able to do a full side split. I achieved that split about 8 years ago, and ever since then I just stopped stretching altogether. I do know that my flexibility is getting worse because I can't do the same stretches that I can do in the past. And it confirmed my suspicion even more about me having extremely tight calves, because whenever I would stretch my calves on this wooden block thingy, works extremely well by the way, I would occasionally ask my brother or my girlfriend to occasionally do this stretch with me, and they do it with absolutely no problem at all. And when I do it, let's just say it looks a little weird. So now I know I have to take stretching very seriously again, which means trying to incorporate it into my daily life. And I did do some research on it. Don't quote me on this, but if I recall correctly, you need to do about 9 minutes per week for each muscle that you want to stretch, which means that if I only want to stretch my calves, I just need to add about 3 minutes of stretching for 3 days per week. It is very little when you look at it that way. I mean, I'm sure I have 3 minutes per day to do that stretch, but I tried my flexibility on different muscles, and that's when I realized I have a lot of work to do. My hamstring, shoulders, chest, even my forearm right here. If you look at this, I could only go to about this much on my hand. You can try it now. Most people would get to about 90 degrees without any problems. I can also do it when I use my other hand to push it, but it feels so painful on my forearm area because of how tight it is. You might think that you will never get to this level of inflexibility, but if you do go to the gym regularly, which I assume you do, because it's good for you, trust me, you will get to this point eventually if you do not start stretching. I don't really know the principle behind it. It's something like as you work out, the muscle contracts. If you don't stretch it after it contracts, then after a while it will just contract more and more, which makes your muscle even more tight. I have no idea honestly, but based on experience, I know that as I get more muscle, I get less and less flexible. And that's why some people might argue that you do not need to do any stretching if you do full range of motion in your workouts. But think about it, for certain muscles like your forearm, is there any exercises that you do that stretches it at all? Maybe wrist curls, but even then, is that really a stretch? You could maybe say that you do not need to stretch your chest because you already are stretching it in your bench press, but it's always better to be safe than sorry. And for me, if time or energy is an issue, I would just do 1 or 2 stretches on my worst, tightest muscle and move on. As they say, nothing is always better than something. If I'm not mistaken, stretching right after your workout session is the best time because that's when your muscle is warm and you won't accidentally pull a muscle or something. But I don't really have the energy to stretch right after my workout session because I already have pushed myself so hard. So I would just try to stretch at night before I sleep instead. I'm not going to get into the details on how, when, what to stretch for now because I am still trying to experiment with it. But once I learn more about it, then I will let you know. But one thing I know for sure is that stretching is not an optional thing, but rather a necessity if you want to stay healthy and prevent injuries. It's a different case though if you want to be the bodybuilder that can't touch their their back, then make sure to avoid stretching at all costs. Anyways, if you don't have time to stretch, especially because of your workout session being too long, click on this video where I explain how I cut my workout session in half and still get better results. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.